we've experimented in a number of ways. I've been involved now for 12 years at 2 different universities, and what we have found to be the most effective way is the students themselves. The students of today are looking at entrepreneurship as a career path. And so what we try to do is put the resources in place, not just in terms of centers, in terms of technology transfer operations, but in the curriculum itself. At UNCG, we have a major and undergrad in entrepreneurship and a minor in undergrad entrepreneurship, which allows not only what we might call hard science students who are in biology, chemistry, physics, and so on, but all the way through the humanities, the arts, and music, so that if you want to stay in your field and yet still make some kind of money that will keep relating you and keeping you in the field, then you have an opportunity to have a minor in entrepreneurship and know all of those things. But that's not just the only thing that you need as a student. You need then to be able to have the appropriate contacts, the appropriate things available to you, resources to make you move to the next level or help you move to the next level. And we've set up an organization that will do that. And we've seen a significant amount of success. We've got a number of students that have graduated from UNCG and with their own ideas have turned small businesses, startup companies into million-dollar operations. The lessons learned are fairly clear, and that is in a university setting, as in any organization, but particularly in the academy, you cannot edict from above. You cannot say, we're now entering into this policy and everybody will follow it, because that's not the mindset. The mindset is, okay, if we want to play in this game, if we agree that this policy makes sense, how can you help us to define it? So an example in a tenure situation where you're talking about a new approach that recognizes entrepreneurship activities as scholarly, how does it compare to the things that are there today that have been sounding boards, benchmarks for years, like publications? Does a patent application equal 1 publication? Does it equal 5? Our lessons that we've learned is we have to reach down and figure out ways by working with the tenure committees, the department chairs, the deans, to decide what makes sense and how much entrepreneurship has a scholarly impact on the tenure process. By doing that, you get buy-in at all levels. If you don't get buy-in at the grassroots level where the tenure is actually awarded, then it's nothing more than just a policy that you hang on the wall, put on a website, or put in a booklet. Well, I'm a firm believer, though I don't say I have rigorous data to show you, that universities are in a transition. It's an interesting mode for me because from my corporate days, when I entered the corporate world in the early 70s, corporations were going through a very similar transition. All of a sudden there was international competition and some corporations changed and were able to survive and grow, and others died in that process. I think universities face the same situation, somewhat similar, and that is that in today's world there's a certain requirement by the community. This community, as an example, 10 years ago was, or certainly 20, was very happy, like most communities, to allow their children to enter into the universities, walk through the portals and behind the walls of the academe, and throw money over those walls for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. A couple of my kids, 5, 6 years. And what happened is our expectations was that they would come out of that university with a degree, and that degree, that diploma, would propel them into a career, whatever career they chose. That still is number one. That's what parents, providers, funders all want from a university. But today they want more. This community and other communities, including the one at UNCG in Greensboro, have been hit with significant reductions in many things on the economic side, from loss of jobs to companies moving away, to entire organizations disappearing. And so the community is looking to the university and saying, behind those walls are some very, very bright people, students, staff, and certainly faculty, and in some cases research faculty. What are you doing behind those walls that could generate economic growth in our community? And the universities, whether they're state universities or private universities, are now beginning to get the message and are taking not just policy, but taking real, let's call it environmental looks at the university and how it can provide that economic growth generation. It's okay to say we are, therefore we economic development, because we've got professors that have jobs, students that are generating a certain amount of revenue, but it needs to be more than that. The community is expecting more than that, and I think universities and colleges are now understanding that. So that's the big challenge, that's the big transition, and it's very exciting. Well, it's fairly clear to me that there are three elements needed to take any idea and move it forward in a commercial sense. And from a university standpoint, whether it be private or state university, large, small, anything in between, we at the university have only one of the three. And the three are, one, the idea itself. The second one is funding of some sort, whether that be venture capital, angel fund, seed fund, grants. And the third, of course, is management. And our job is to provide that first one, and that is take the idea, see if there's ways of protecting it, either through patenting or some other intellectual property steps, and most importantly, find out if it has a market. Once we've done that, there is this valley of death, as it's called, in which the other two elements don't exist in the university and are out there in the community. We need, and at UNCG, have been striving to find ways to connect those two. And I think in all university scenarios, having some type of organization or some type of method in order to get the venture capital, the funding, and the appropriate management in place is very critical to any idea that needs to move forward in a commercial sense.